I began making textiles seriously about 25 years ago, but as a child I embroidered. My mother was a seamstress, but she didn't embroider. And as a child I would just make up things myself, what I felt like doing. Then I went to university and studied law, and I was a solicitor for 10, 15 years. And then when I had my first daughter, I thought I should make her a quilt. And so it began again, and I've been making quilts ever since. I always begin with white cloth, so I do the dyeing, and colour is an extremely important element to my work. I love warm colours. I also like the ability to create texture, and in the last 10 years or so I've added printing by making lino cuts and printing with those, and I'm enjoying the process of carving the lino a lot. It's something that's almost like carving wood in a way. It's a bit softer, of course, but it adds a whole other element to what I do. I've recently been going back to themes of nature, and that arose mainly because I was house sitting for a friend and I had to walk her dog every day. And so I was noticing very small changes in the things that I was encountering when I was walking. And those little small changes are a really important way to teach people about design, because every single day something different was appearing, and I wanted to record that. But it also gave me lessons in how to look at things differently each time. The other themes that I've been exploring are the medieval and the early Gothic period, which I think is really fascinating from an art point of view. I also think, even though most of the art from this period is kind of stone coloured, originally it was highly coloured. So I've been trying to imagine what those colours might have been if they weren't just stone images, and how they must have influenced people in their thinking because of the way the statues are actually carved. I read Simone Weil. She was writing about a period in French history where the French government was actually in England. The Germans had taken over France, and she was writing a document for France to be able to re-establish itself once the war had finished. And one of the things that she saw incredibly important in this process was that there needed to be room for every single human being, and that we had an obligation to every single human being to make sure that they didn't go hungry. And to not go hungry for her involved many things. It wasn't just about the food, it was about the spiritual aspects of being settled and being able to live. And she felt this obligation was incumbent on every single human being towards every other human being, and it was tied into her belief of God as well. And her God wasn't a Catholic God or a Protestant God. Her God was that was the only thing that she could find that could give her an answer to the way she felt our obligation should be towards every other human being. And of course she was also writing about how Nazism had risen and how the media had played an incredible role in the rise of Nazism in Germany. And in fact she made a comment at one point that she felt that America had a very good machine for controlling the media, which she called Hollywood, of course. And it just seems so pertinent to the present time. We have a president in the United States who tweets every single day. It seems a bit strange to me that a president would be tweeting, and who seems to not work in accordance with his advisors or the way that we normally experience government. So then I tried to think he's thinking of himself as above people, and that's a very dangerous thing. And so then I started thinking, Simone Weil, when she was writing this book, was saying that God was above everything. So then I'm thinking, who's above a president? Who's above a government? Not only America, but all other governments that are experiencing problems. And the only answer to that is God. So if God were to send messages, how would he do it? So I called them tweets from heaven, and they are angels that are sending messages to the humans to say we need to remember that obligation that we owe every human being the ability to eat and the ability to live, and that we shouldn't separate people out from that. We shouldn't build false walls. We owe that obligation to every single human being we encounter. These Gothic figures that were inspired by the Chartres Cathedral also have this questioning look towards the human being, that we have a moral obligation to fulfill towards people. So for me, it's been absolutely amazing to be hung in this place, to see these works. They actually look larger than what they are, and it's because of the height and the dimensions of the space. But they also kind of, particularly the Chartres pieces, assume a little bit of the feeling that they have when you look at them at the cathedral, which has been a really quite interesting experience for me.